Hello, Terry.
Hello, Nancy Jean. How are you today?
I'm fine. I like your new office.
Thank you. Thank you. This is I'm playing with it. I haven't decided if I like it or not yet, but
Your microphone went off, kiddo. Now you're completely muted. She's going away. Hi everybody. My microphone works, which is either a benefit or a loss, but my camera's a little off center. Okay, we're gonna do that. Hi Fake Hole. Hi Akela. Hi Debbie, Shifting Veils. Terry will be back in a moment. Hi Madhu. Terry and I were just discussing it. She's been having microphone problems. She's been trying to find a microphone that works, and it was working just fine when she was talking with me. And then she went off, and someone sent her a new microphone, and it was a 360 microphone. And the problem with that microphone is, if her dog barked anywhere in the house, we got it in stereo. So she'll be here. I don't know what that was. I don't know where she is. We're going to be talking about intuition. Holding your space is holding a space. Hi, White Dragon.
hi everybody. Sorry about that. The saga continues. I'm trying to decide on these microphones, and
You get
I get
you decide
yeah,
on a camera too. There we are.
yeah. Well, when the mic goes off, the camera goes off
Oh,
on mine.
that's your.
I
Do you have them plugged through a USB port thing?
I do.
Okay, then there's something wrong with your USB port.
Yeah, I think it's called the computer. So
That's probably true too.
yeah, I think it's time for a new computer, and I think that'll fix the mic stuff. So hi everybody, welcome. Today we will talk about intuition, and we were talking backstage about it, about a lot of things. So lots of things going on, um, and about the new wave coming in, all the polarities that we're seeing, and how we connect with those. If we connect out of fear, if we connect out of those witnessing. And I like what you had to say about Carl Jung, Nancy Jean.
Yeah, Carl Jung talks about you go through and you have the revelation and you have the dark night of your soul, whether it's working with your shadow side or whatever, and you see what's there, and all of a sudden, I'm not going to be that anymore. And then you find out you don't have a construct to be part of because the ego has died. It's died. It's not gone. It's going to try and claw its way back through your new consciousness, and your new consciousness is sort of baby steps into understanding dealing with your own intuition, understanding dealing with your own things. And he talks about how each individual who moves forward goes through that period of time. And I happened to see a really good summation of that part of his book this morning when I first got up and I was getting my life together. And I've kind of been through that in the last 6 months. I went through a lot of revel, and then it was like, I don't want to do anything. You know, I mean, I love reading cards. Reading cards I could do in my sleep, but all the other fancy dancy stuff and talking with people and arranging group meetings and arranging shows and thinking that hard about what else do I need to tell people. It's like you don't need to tell them anything. They need to figure it out themselves. And to some extent, that started with the election and the shift of power that way. And we are universally going through what Jung talked about, the individuation that each of us is going through. And so we're all at different levels on it. But the best way to get through it is to acknowledge what you can and cannot do. You know, what you really have the power to even think about doing and moving forward with. And I've seen it in a lot of people. For a while, there was a lot of motivation. I want to learn this. I want to do that. I want to. And then you talk to people and they go, well, I'm just not sure where I should go or what I should do. Same phenomena, you know. And we have these great revelations. The biggest one I ever had was when the universe took me to the edge of the universe that says, this is what you're part of. So I could see the whole universe laid out in front of me. And inside of me, I've never been afraid of being alone. I've never been really afraid of much of anything since then, because I understand we're all part of this giant, I call it a machine. It's not this giant energy thing that we're part of. But, you know, I actually sat down one day and said, I'm going to write a lesson about this. And I realized I can't take you all there. So each one of us has to find our own way. So we're all in our own place about this. But motivation, you just highlighted it. What Hypnocity said, my motivation
It's on
was. And it's, you know, it's almost like that period in your life where you're waiting for the next shoe to drop. Something good's happened, but now it's like, how's this going to clear out? When's the next shoe going to drop? So I'm happy to be here. I'm happy that I'm breathing. You have no idea. That's been a whole journey unto itself. And in some ways, the universe taught me a lesson by saying, we're not going to let you breathe effectively. See how you like that for a while, because I'd done that for a long time. I didn't like it coming back. So for everybody who's there, if you are looking for something new or want to try something new to motivate you, can I start my commercial now?
Sure.
Jeffrey and I are teaching tarot again, but because we waited so long to try and get the right size class together, two of the ladies who were going to take it wrote me and said, I'm going on summer vacation. Can we move it into June? So now it's been moved into June, not just because of Jeffrey and I being flaky, but because that's when it's going to happen. Also, for those of you who you can go look in my channel and see it. I did a playlist where I showed doing a reading to create a crystal grid. This Friday at 7:00, I'm doing a live where I'm going to build a crystal grid. Sheila's going to be on with me because somebody has to read the chat and run the show, and I can't do all that and build the grid. And I have been building some other grids this week. I just hit a stall where I couldn't do anything.
There was that going around, that kind of energy. Lee Harris talked about that too. He said there was something coming up with the energy. I think that was last month that that all of a sudden just be. That's it. Be for a little bit. You might be thinking that you're ready to start something new or move on to another modality, but just take this moment to be. And I thought that is such good advice. I remember when my kids would say, I'm bored. And I was like, that's the best thing you can be, bored, because now it's all creativity.
That's what my father said. One thing he was really proud of as a parent was he gave us a whole lot of time to do nothing.
Yeah.
He said, I didn't sit down and build it in your schedule. I grew up in, I don't know how many of you are my age, but I was born in 49. But I had friends that their whole family did everything together. And they were all into this activity and that activity. And they rode around in their station wagons and, and all that stuff. And they were not a single entity. Yeah, Rosie, yours is beautiful. And yours will be, I'll show yours on Friday night and then it'll be in the mail to you the next day. It's done. But my father used to say, I'm so glad I gave you guys a lot of time to do nothing, because he raised 5 only children. Each one of us was into a different activity after school. And he just found, he put us on our bikes and sent us off to ride when the weather was permitting in the Midwest to ride your bike. But if it wasn't permitting, they threw you out in the snow, guys. I want you to know. That's why I like snow so much.
Yeah. Yeah. Deanne says we are also experiencing the time of prophecies. We all see the signs. It's in front of our eyes. Some are here and some are in the dark, while others have blinders on. After all the chaos, there will be clarity. Beautiful, Deanne. Yeah,
That's right.
that's right. There's a lot of chaos going on. If we align with the chaos, even though we don't want to, and a lot of times we align with it by worrying or being afraid, and it still sends it energy. And when we watch it, we were talking about a lot of people are on top of everything that's going on and reporting on all the bad things that are happening,
Hmm.
and that we need to be aware but not feed into it. That does energy into it. So aligning ourselves with our own energy as an individual light is really important. And speaking of light, Dr. Gail, hello,
Yes.
good morning. Yeah. Um, so it is important that we all contact our our politicians and whatnot and do what we can, but also if you feel called to, but also just be aligned with your light and your heart. Like we just did a meditation this morning, a meditation tribe on your senses. And I feel like for a lot of people, that's a real easy way to get into your body awareness.
Hmm.
And then creating new neural pathways, like after you get into your five senses, going into remembering, going
Hmm.
knowing, feeling frequencies of light, another neural pathway that you can develop. And the more you do that, it really does develop your and awaken your intuition too. And kind of brings you into that spot that you were talking about, the gap, the space in between when you're
Yeah.
not.
It's a place to admit I don't have all the answers, but I don't need to be troubled by all the questions. You
Yeah,
know, if I can't have all the answers, I don't need to be worrying about all the questions that are out there. And the other thing is to open yourself up to nature and to being out. And like today, I'm going to go plant my tomato plants. I got them yesterday, and that's going to be my outdoor time. Uh, but we need to I need to be more in touch with going out and talking to Hogarth and the trees and the bushes. But today's gonna be a nice day. It's kind of cloudy out there, and we did have some hideous tornadoes near me yesterday, but they were north of me. Terry and I were texting each other. Are you in a storm shelter? I'm in.
I kept. I was watching the YouTube last night, and Max was on that Max guy.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was coming right at you, and I was like, "Be careful."
Yeah, well, if you know the geography really well, a lot of times when it says Dallas, it's for some reason tornadoes really like the counties north of me. They start, and when I was younger, and the only you'd hear about the names of counties only when a tornado went through Beeville, a tornado went through Jacksboro, and you'd be driving around in the country, tooling around, going on vacations, and you go, "Oh my God, that's where this county is," because we didn't all have cell phones where we could see it. You realize how far away many of these things you could get very concerned about are. And then we do need to be concerned about things. And I think we should all be sending love and light to Joe Biden and to Jill, his wife, because it's got to be a most difficult time for the
Yeah,
whole Biden clan. And, you know, they're worth some of your emphasis and time. Some of these other people aren't. And I'll say it, even though I know it reinforces what I say you're not supposed to do. But every time someone says, I really hate Stephen Miller and he ought to be burnt and all this other stuff, that just warms his soul. I mean, that's what he lives for, is to be hated. And so just don't do it.
yeah. Feeding a it starts with an N, narcissist, and a lot of these entities that are agents of change that are in the government or
Hmm.
billionaires all around the earth, um, feeding their energy, whether it's with positive energy or negative energy, it's still feeding. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's hard not to do sometimes when we see it happening. Hello, beautiful Deanne. We can't control a world that is changing itself. We change with it and go with the flow, not against the rapids.
Hmm.
Deanne, I love that. And lots of love to Deanne because she's got a lot of transformations happening in her house and transitions
Cool.
in her family. Well, it's people that are passing. So,
Well, why is that not cool? Maybe that's what they're supposed to do. I mean,
well, you know what? I was talking about that this morning. When I was in Kathmandu, we went to this place. I think it's called Pushaputa, and it's an open air place, and it's on the river. And if you have left your body, they take your body there for cremation. And the whole family comes, and there's these monks, and everybody dresses in all white, and they have them all around on the cliffs around the river there, and you cremate the body with the whole family, and you chant all night, and it's a celebration of life. And then at the end of the night, the monks just sweep your ashes into the river. So I know a lot of people when we were there, they were like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe they do that." But it's really a beautiful transition, transformation.
well, it's better than hiding it in a corner like it doesn't happen.
Yeah, yeah, and putting all sorts of chemicals into the bodies before we bury them into the earth.
Hmm.
Yeah, but I love that, Deanne. That's beautiful. Debbie, three shifting veils. I surround them in love and light in a bubble where the energy they send out returns to them. Amazing. I'm loving that.
That's good.
Yeah. Sharon Sipe, hello, beautiful, and thank you for being here. Yeah, yeah, it is the circle of life, isn't it, Deanne? Um, and sometimes when something like that hits us, um, a big setback like that, then we really do stop. It is really a time for reset where we really watch what's happening on the planet.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, prayers are Reiki healing, Rosie says. I love that, Rosie.
Hmm.
Carl wants to know if we're doing readings today. We might, Carl, or we might just talk.
I'm gonna do readings tomorrow at my show at 1. Carl, it hasn't been posted yet, but I'm going to be there doing it.
Okay. Yeah. Right? Even praying for everyone's awakening. Okay, so this is a crazy thing to say, but sometimes I think, what if these characters came down to this planet in this lifetime and said, "I'm going to just play this part, and I'm going to play it with abandon," like
Hmm.
you know, Dustin Hoffman or somebody,
Hmm.
and you're just going to go crazy with it, and it's going to change the world. Um, I wonder that they do that. Sometimes I think they overdo their contract, like they
Right.
exceed on their contract. But where do we see it? So yeah, yeah,
Oh, I've had a few past lives I've looked at and I went, whoa, we didn't have to be that much like that. I was a dandy in George in England, and I was a wastrel and I wasted my family's estate. And when I used to teach tarot in person, we used to have a week where everybody read everybody else's past lives. We practiced doing that kind of reading. We did the Simple Spirit 7 to do it. And there was a 17-year-old that was in my class, and I let her in my class because I knew her mother and I knew this kid. And actually, for her senior project at an art school that she went to, she designed a tarot deck. It was fascinating, beautiful cards. But she she was reading the cards, and she kind of looked up and she goes, "Mom, I can't say this about Nancy." And she said, "You're not saying about her, you're saying about a life she had." Anyway, she saw the whole thing. She saw me in the powder blue suit and the lacy cuff. Remember, this is a time where if you got caught doing this stuff, you could get killed. Apparently, he didn't care. And I've had other people see that life, but that's the one I think of where he's just just giving away the ultimate queen in a very dangerous time when it was a dangerous time to be an ultimate queen. And I, but she was so, I can't tell her she did that.
Oh,
I've murdered people. I've hung people. I've been hung. I mean, all that stuff. If you go through it, you go through it, and then you get it back. So, and what isn't now the time we're supposed to get rid of all karma?
yeah,
God, it's going to kill half my stories. Jeez.
right. Yeah, releasing all that old stuff because we can't take it with us. And I think it's really important that we notice releasing our lineage too, of what happened
Mm-hmm.
in the past for our ancestors and our parents and everybody. It's all that stuff we really take with us in our solar plexus or in our geom. You know, if your great grandmother's village was ransacked, and you hold that in your solar plexus.
And you're
And
going to run into someone who ransacked it too.
yeah,
Look at Arlene's comment at 11:22. It just came up.
oh, I would appreciate prayers and long distance Reiki as I fractured my pelvic in 2 spaces. Oh, honey, I'm sorry. And I'm now going through occupational and physical therapy to get my mobility back. Arlene, I'm going to put you in the healing circle for tomorrow too for meditation.
Yes.
So, yeah, wow. That so sorry to hear that. And a lot of people are having accidents or something happen, so they have this reset too. And I'm not saying that about you, Arlene, but um, a lot of people I know are having surgeries or something happening, and really stopping to look at things and slow down a little bit.
Well, that's what happened to me when my breathing went right after the election, and I couldn't quite figure out why it was deteriorating, but I knew it was. But I kept going because I'm a Taurus Scorpio. Um, but the thing is, take your time. I had both knees replaced, and that was a time when the universe gave me the wisdom to say, sit still, find the best people, follow all the steps. You don't know everything. They, even though you think, well, that's such a dumb, stupid little move, it's all building all those dumb, stupid little moves is what's going to get your strength back. You'll be fine. I mean, but I've gathered you have fragile bones, so they're going to have to watch that.
Yeah. Play Love Remember says, is that why they're showing me all these past lives?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They told me I'm not coming back here again. Amen to that. I've heard that from you before, Nancy.
No, they've told me I wasn't going to come back, and I fought with them, and I said they want to send me other places, and I said no, I like Earth, and so that's why I ended up working with Earth elements this time through with my when I on that level of my life. And Dr. Gale saw me one time. I got kidnapped 3 or 4 years ago in the middle of the night, and I got up, and I always look at my watch to see what time it is. I went to the bathroom, and then when I sit down, I look at my watch again. And what I'm doing is I was checking my Fitbit to make sure it was catching the awake times.
Mm-hmm.
And it was 3.5 hours later. And I went, okay, where the hell did I go? Now I'm up. Now I'm up, and it's not because I need to use the bathroom.
Yeah.
And I talked to a couple of readers, and they said their instincts told them, their guides told them, it's okay. And her guides are with her, and she's fine. And I was really groused about it. So I asked Dr. Gale. So she was talking to someone, and I've known for a long time that time is just wherever you choose to be. So she went, and she apparently saw the meeting that they brought me in. And the weird thing was she didn't know it, but I have that long red, very purpley red cape. And I came marching in, and I had the day I saw that hanging in the vintage store, I had to buy it. I didn't care what it cost. That was my cape. I came in and with my cape on, and the guy sitting next to her where they were watching it from, he said, oh, this is going to be good. She really hates it when they do this to her. And they said they made an agreement they would leave her on the earth and let her do what she needed to do and leave her alone. And they did call me up, and she couldn't hear what my assignments were or anything. But she said she could tell, although we've never physically met and she normally sees me on screen, she could see me just stomping across that stage and getting up in the throne in front of all of them and saying, "Why have you brought me here? Why are you disturbing my life?" And Dr. Gill said they don't usually let us in this room so angry. And it's some part of the universe where they have gatherings. And he said, she's earthbound and she's angry and she reflects that. So that's why I have to work so hard on being angry.
Yeah. Arlene says she does feel hers was a reset too. She was doing too much. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's happening for a lot of us. Deanne, there's an exciting shift coming that'll snap America back into harmony. Prepare to let things go and let sleeping dogs lie. Light workers have fun with it. 100%. The other thing I feel like is going on too, Deanne and Nancy is, and everybody is, like, how many of us here have not thought, well, maybe I'll just buy a little house in Italy and say, forget about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I start looking at my house and all the stuff that I've collected, like not just crystals, but like I like vintage jewelry, I like vintage purses, I like vintage furniture and all sorts of stuff. And so I've kind of put together this collection at my house, and I'm like, I'm not taking any of that stuff with me. And of course, we won't take it when we leave here either. But I'm looking at everything around my house differently, everything that I own, these earthly possessions, with just a different attitude right now.
Yeah, I'm planting right now. I'm starting my seedlings in my little hydroponic pods and
Mm-hmm.
got great herbs going. Um, and I'm doing all that. And like I said, I'm planting my tomato plants. I wish one thing I didn't arrange well in this life. Maybe I did because I couldn't keep it up, but it was a big garden. I like a big garden, but um, Ness, we're not doing health questions. I'll answer the question. Um, we're not really doing questions. Just somebody who had an emergency, unless there's an emergency. But I'm going to be doing questions at 1 o'clock on my show tomorrow, and
Yeah.
I know Ness is on my list, so she'll get it. And
Yeah.
if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, then you won't know when those things are going on. So go over and subscribe.
Debbie mentions, I've already dealt with my past life as a child in the gas chambers. Now they're showing me pasts on other planets. This is supposed to be my last time here too. And I think that's the other thing that's happening is our collective making restitution and letting go of, like Germany did a pretty good job of making restitution. They have the Holocaust Museum. They've sent money to anybody that was involved in the Holocaust. And now, if your grandma, like my grandma was in the Holocaust, then you can get, I could get a German passport if I wanted it,
Mm-hmm.
because of that. And there's all sorts of things that they've done. The United States hasn't made restitution.
No, they never, not just not made restitution, but for the Civil War, they hid it. I mean, they hid it, they whitewashed it. And I grew up in the land of Lincoln. Of course, we worshiped Abraham Lincoln in Illinois. So it didn't occur to me when I came here at 18 to go to college. And it wasn't the Civil War, it was the war between the states and the textbooks. And this was on a college level. And I was like, I went to school during Vietnam. And when I would talk about the war that was going on, I was talking about the war in Vietnam, right? I'd sit in the dorm and these girls would talk about the war and what the war had cost their family. And I was like, that many of your families fought? Because Vietnam this was in the late 70s. We were in it, but we weren't that. And of course, when they were talking about the war, they were talking about their plantation that got taken. I figure if every person that told me a tale, and I was way over in Texas, I'm not in Georgia, Alabama, everybody whose family lost their plantation, there wouldn't be enough plantations. I was shocked when I found out how many real set up plantations there were when I finally saw the numbers, because they all would have had to have 43 family members stacked in a room somewhere. And they never, ever, ever, and never made reparations. And when things would pop up that would remind them, the powers that be would go out of their way to literally cover it up. There was a freedmen's cemetery where African Americans were buried when they came over here. And now it's the intersection of Lemon and Central Expressway. And when they were expanding it, they would find bodies under the ground, and they would take them and they put them in this park that's now the Freedmen's Cemetery. And I talked to people who worked on it, and they said they didn't take all the bodies out. They only took bodies out of photographers who were around taking pictures. Otherwise, you're driving over them. I mean, there was that lack of regard, and that's never going to work. And that's what the whole DEI thing's about. Bury it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no strength in diversity.
Yeah. Play Love Remember says, I just remembered I started laughing before I started seeing the light language and rainbow colors coming in. I had a lot to say and then listened some and laughed and talked some more. So love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's it. Play Love Remember. We're starting to become more aware of our intuition, and it changes our frequency and it changes our neural pathways completely. Our brain even changes so that it's filled with light. And once you're kind of aligned to your light body with your physical form and your auric field, it's like a hologram that goes around your physical form and your auric field. And once you start aligning with that and upgrading with it, it makes a huge change in what you see. And it makes a huge change in who sees you too.
Right.
Yeah.
And what you're able to see.
Yeah. Yeah. Completely. I love that. And a lot of people getting their light language in right now in lots of different ways. Like it might be sign language, all sorts of different forms of it coming in. Deanne says, Teri, my family calls me Model T because I'm hopelessly nostalgic and an old-fashioned romantic. The best.
That's fine.
Yeah, I love that. Lauren, I'm not coming back either. Dr. Gall and others have told me that I volunteered to come for this time on Earth. Interesting to hear that others also know they're not coming back. Yeah, I remember kind of feeling like that here. And I remember feeling like when I do yoga poses, I can't lay on my stomach because I remember past lives of being
Squash.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah. And it's just not going to work. Hi, Chi Chi's Unhinged, and then our other Gigi.
Yeah, Gigi Pardo.
Yeah. Is that Gigi Pardo?
No, that's Gigi Unhinges. I think is somebody different.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
If you blow the picture up, it's not her.
Yeah.
Gigi Pardo was in here also earlier.
Yeah, I saw her. Hey, Warrior Widow. No, no worries. Actually, if anybody came in really early, you would have seen just Nancy Jean.
Well, that's good enough. But no, we're helping Teri rearrange her office and get microphones on and things.
Yeah, and lamps and lights, and I still haven't figured out the light section, and I feel like I'm still kind of dark in here, but that's okay.
You need a ring light. I have 2 of them. I wish I could send you one.
I'm good. They said when I saw them in meditation, they see me as gold, and that's why they made themselves look that way.
That's true.
Yeah, that's who my star family is. They're white and gold diamond light.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting when we come in here and jump in, and that's the other thing that we start to remember when we open up our awakening or our reset, as we remember where we came from. You might have a pre-birth memory. A lot of you're having memories of past lives and how you passed, perhaps. So, and it makes a lot of sense when you think about, oh, okay, no wonder I don't like, laying on my stomach or being in the water. A lot of people don't like putting their head in the water.
I mean, I would get tachycardia from air raid sirens. And I mean, really serious. I'd have to go sit in a dark place and block it out. And that's when the ostensibly our tornado warnings were actually the Russians are coming sirens. And I didn't know until I was out of college that the last life I had before this one, I died in London in an air raid. And the last thing I heard, because that's the last sense that goes, last thing I heard were the sirens blowing over London. And my husband, who was raised in London and spent the better part of his youth, because the war started when he was 10, spent the better part of, and he was actually in London for, they evacuated him, and then his evacuation was one of those horror stories where the family didn't feed him and they took his food stamps and fed their own kids. And finally, someone told his mother in London. She came up and got him just before he died of starvation. She took him back to London, and 2 days after he was back in London, that's when Hitler started bombing. He said he was waiting for me. But Bill said, he said, I don't like to hear you talk about that, because he said, I don't think that that could happen, you know. So then I described the memory of that night of realizing I was not where I should have been, running down the street and finally just diving into a building because it was better than being on the streets and being buried in this basement. And when I described the building and the cars and what the people were running around like, he said, oh my God, you were there. Because he was there. I mean, he was there when the house across the street from him in North Finchley, when we went to visit his childhood home, there were all these semi-detached homes, right?
Yeah.
And there's this one new home, it was obviously built in the 50s, right across. I said, what happened there? He said, oh, they all died.
You think that was where you died?
No, 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 no. I died in a basement. And I was an artist that had gotten out of Poland, and I thought I was safe. And I was mistaken.
Yeah.
And I really still, I'm not in love with sirens, but I tend to take warnings like they're going to get me or they're not. So,
Yeah. And the other thing is, once you kind of remember, and then it's like, oh, I'm hearing that and I understand why I'm feeling this way. And it takes that fear out of it, the understanding.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, different part of your brain using your curiosity. And now if somebody says to lay on your stomach and do a yoga pose, I'm like, nope, not going to do that. And I know exactly why.
Well, I'm not going to lay on my stomach because then I'd be like a beetle and I can't get up off the floor. But
I can't say it's attractive to watch me stand after I've done that either.
you don't jump up like a Venus rising from the sea.
Not gracefully. Play love. Remember, I tried years ago opening physically with my hands to get past it, but accepted the fact that it's just not happening. Yeah, not sure where the first part of that is. Play love. Remember.
That's a typo, and I can't figure it out.
Yeah, I can't either yet. Deanne says, we are all shedding our shells to rise above after a decade of low spots, trials, and tribulations.
It's true.
Yeah, that says everything that we've said. So we can go home now, everybody. So we are letting go of everything, aren't we? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, eyes underwater, she says. Yeah, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Great singing tree. Hypnicity. Well, yeah. So do we want to talk about inner earth any at all?
Well, that's weird because this weekend I did my Audible books at night to go to sleep, and I listened to 3 different Irish tales of the little people,
Mm-hmm.
and it's what it's called is Travels to the Other Community, and it's about what it's like. Fairies can be fairies and the wee folks, which takes in a whole lot of ground with this group. Um, are lovely when they're lovely, but they are from the earth, and they have dark sides just like we do, or underneath sides. And listening to those stories, um, there's a you don't screw with them. They don't like being messed with, and they will let you know they don't like being messed with. And so they're out and about, and they're giving. I did a show on a thing called Glimmerings. Just like people feel oppressions coming towards them, they feel like they're carrying some weight. We also get glimmerings of good things, and they give us glimmerings. And if we respond to that glimmering and play with it, then we will feel it more and more and more.
Yeah, we've been working with the rock people, um,
Aha.
and that's been really interesting to hear their voice. And when I hear their voice, it sounds kind of like Mongolian throat music, that
Mm-hmm.
singing, which really that throat singing they do all around the planet. Lots of indigenous tribes do it, and it's really beautiful. And it also reminds me a little bit of heavy metal, like rah rah rah. But hearing that, and then lately, kind of going inner earth even deeper, um, and I feel like there's energy centers down there, like huge batteries that
Mm-hmm.
um, becoming awakened as we become awakened, or maybe it's our energy that's awakening to them, probably both. And our frequencies are kind of set on it, and I feel like it's going to kind of change things on the planet as far as being able to power the planet, being able to manifest, and also being able to live uh, with a not a free market, but so that everybody has a universal salary or something, that there'll be so many riches with this new energy.
Well, there is some that we could have that now.
Yeah.
If but what's happening is, since 2017, when our part of the galaxy shifted out of a place in space that shielded us, the Earth has been getting a lot more photonic energy. And I mean, when I mean a lot more, I mean a lot more. And the first article I read on this, hello from Finland, the first article I read on this, uh, the way it was found was when they were beginning to do certain kinds of high energy treatments for cancer. They were going down on a cellular level, and they could see where their intervention was blocking the cancer cell from reproducing. That's what they were trying to do. And then, of course, they checked the tissue all around it, and they were finding really deep energetic changes that they weren't putting in there. And so the doctors started going back through all their files and seeing where they thought this had started. Well, it happened that one of the women researchers, one of the doctors, her husband was an astrophysicist. And he said, "When's the earliest you think you started seeing these changes pop up?" And she told him, and he goes, "Oh my God, that aligns with this change in photonic energy." And we didn't know where. We know it's going through the earth. We know that when we've known that photons, if they're artificially generated from somewhere and hit you, they're going to change you. Just that's what they're using it for in medicine. Anyway,
And is that the Tesla frequency too? Or is that different?
it's changed the heartbeat of the earth, because what's happening is all these photons are going through the core, and there's a belief among geobiologists, and some of the patterns they thought they would find happening used to be that ley lines would wave a bit. As of last spring, the ley lines are locked in place. They're all, and I know the one outside of me, it's locked in place, and it's not growing wider. They were growing wider for a long time. It's not growing wider. They're just all locked in place. And and I know, I used to speak with a guy named Johan, who lives in South Africa,
Yeah.
who's an energy worker who would go and he would reconnect major ley lines, like big ones that had ripped apart. And I said, "What's the rush?" And he said he was told the rush was that at some point it was gonna hit an energy mass in the core, and the core, like, it brings out the 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 heartbeat of the earth, but it was gonna become, it was gonna gong out into the earth, and if the wherever the ley lines were not secure, it was gonna cause problems on the crust.
Like earthquakes.
Like earthquakes, if there's a weak spot, what comes up
Yeah.
out of weak spots? Lava. Um, or very hot something. Anyway, so that's what it's all been building to. So uh that's so the photonic energy, not to mention the fact that we know from people who look at cells at that level that I would never look at anything that tiny. My eyes are not that good. But they know that we're changing. And that when people say our DNA is changing and we're reconnecting to parts of our DNA we didn't have before, we're getting this photonic energy that can, I mean, if they can use it to stop cells from growing, they can also hit things to make cells grow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's an earth energy geobiologist look at what we're talking about.
I just started taking a a pill. It's actually 3 pills a week, and it's for kind of regeneration. And
Mhm.
and I can't remember everything that's in it, but it's interesting. And they say that they're reversing things, and it makes your body different. But I'm having such a big deja vu with you talking about this and us talking about this. So
Well, no, that's the energy that's hitting us that we're not really aware of. And
yeah,
Warrior Widow, you highlight hers? She just came up.
yeah. Have a ley line in my backyard. What does that mean for me? Is it a good thing in earthquake country? She's in.
Oh, it's lovely. I mean, they're lovely things to go out. And when you first go out, when I first went out, I was such a dummy. I have ley lines for dummy class from the universe. I couldn't. I found the ley line tree. I found the tree all covered with lumps and bumps. And even Danny, when he saw it when he was here visiting, he said, "Oh my God, this has more lumps and bumps than any tree I've ever seen in my life." Um, but we went up and we were talking to it, my tree's called Hogarth, and I said to the universe, "Okay." And I was going around with my little pendulums and stuff, and I was getting like nowhere. And 3 days later, we had a snap freeze, and then when the freeze ended, there was this yellow brick road, literally a yellow brick road that ran out one side of the tree, under the tree, and out the other side towards Preston Road. And I went, "Oh, that's the ley line." I mean, like, I'm such a dummy. They have to paint it for me. And so I went out with now, man, my little pendulums went crazy. You can find them using pendulums, you can find them using dowsing rods. And then I was supposed to watch it, and I watched it grow. And 2 years ago, Hogarth told me when I was out visiting with him, he had no green, he gets little green sprouts all over him out of his little nodes. And I said, "You're late becoming green." He says, "Come back tomorrow." I went back the next day, and it was green. All little green shoots were out. And I went, "That happened fast." He said, "Everything is going to happen fast. It's going to happen fast and even faster."
Wow. Yeah. Warrior Widow says mine runs from my orange tree to the other side of the yard. We're the only bunch of trees I have. Yeah, we've got. I've got a big tree behind me, and it's definitely on a ley line. But then it there is an indentation in that line that comes forward to the front of the house too. Um, and a lot of times you guys will know, like when you walk in a forest and everything gets quiet and you hear the energy.
Hmm.
Lots of ley lines in the forest. If you have sacred sites around you, most of the sacred sites are built on ley lines. So,
Yeah, they all, well, in England, that's how they found them. They
yeah,
found them. All of the grand cathedrals are on ley lines, or where ley lines cross. And when you go back and they, if you've ever watched digging in Britain, if you dig down 3 feet in England, you're gonna find something.
right,
And that all their holy places are built on their holy places. There's a place in Wisconsin, if you're standing in the middle of the Midwest saying, I don't have one, go to Holy Hill, which is now a Catholic church. It was also, before the Catholics got there, it was a place the Native Americans worshipped at. And there's a psychic I work with who lives near there, and he went up to visit it, and he said, it's not actually in the church. It's on the pathway up to the church. That's where you could find this spot.
wow,
So,
yeah. Barbara Clow Hand was on another channel a while back. Some of you know.
Heather Ensworth.
Yes, thank you. And I knew you'd know her. And anyway, it was quite interesting. She was talking about she comes from this tribe, and she's talking about it now, but that's their job. They go out and find the mounds, they find the rocks, because a lot of the rocks, when the white man came in, they moved all the rocks. They got rid of all the
Mm-hmm.
sites. But now she's reconnecting to them, and saying that the U.S. just has huge, vast amounts of this powerful energy on it. And I've heard that before years ago, that somebody was talking about the pyramids. Oh, it's George, Reverend Saul. And he said, there's pyramids, more pyramids in the United States area than other places. And it's the mountains, a lot of them. The
Mm-hmm.
Rockies, the Blue Mountains, all over the place, in the trees. But
Yeah, and I was ran into a show. It's on 3 days ago, but there's a place called the Galt Archaeologic Park. It's here in Texas,
mhm,
and this old farmer. What had happened is the people who owned the land before him, they told people found it was a great place to dig arrowheads. So it looked like the backside of the moon after they for years had let people do that. So he bought the land, and then he got people interested in it, and they have found the oldest places for human existence on this continent in East Texas. It's in a place called Galt. And they have dug up over 2 million artifacts with language, with drawings, with, where these people come from. And it's a great place because there's, unlike most places in Texas, there's always water there. There's certain parts of East Texas that have lots of water. There's water there. It has lots of chert, which is what they made their tools from. And it was a very interesting place. And the man who found it and spent his own money to buy the land and then gave it to the state for exploration, they just finished an hour long documentary. It's available through CBS News, um, about that land and about how it's thrown the whole timeline of when Native Americans came to the Americas off, which is happening all over the world, guys. This is not new.
yep. The other thing that, if you watch the news and you don't watch the political part of it, but the science part of it, and you get that into your algorithm, they're finding vast deposits underground of all sorts of amazing minerals that are
Mm-hmm.
going to change our timeline.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we are going into a golden age. Oh, and Deanne says giants do live in the mountains. 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the beings that are going to come out, that we're going to see, that a lot of us are already seeing, here and there, whether in our dreams or where. Um, Play Love Remember. Someone I saw online, I knew, and my guides have been nudging me to meet up with him in person. He's DMing me if we'd like to meet up. Oh, I keep getting the last part of yours. I'm sorry, Play Love Remember. Yeah. Oh, definitely. There's another universe inside the earth. Yeah, there's power plants. There's another universe. I feel like some of them down there are past and future selves, like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I've also gone in and had visions and dreams and whatnot, and some of it with Meditation Tribe, all of us going together, of these vast caverns inside the earth when we go in.
Mm-hmm.
And they have guardians out front, and you can't get in unless you're connected to your heart chakra. Like that's kind of the key to get into places down there, is you have to be true of heart. Or at least for me, that's what they've shown me. So,
Well, there's all that architecture, and I want to say it's not Afghanistan, but it's in the mountains over in Eastern Europe somewhere. And there's this whole city. I mean, 10,000 people could live in this place, and you'd never see them.
is it in Transylvania?
It could be.
That's the book. I got it on audio, and I haven't been listening to it yet, but everybody's been talking about that for years to me, and I've been like, yeah, nah, nah. And I think Barbara Cloud was talking about it too, and it was Transylvania Sunset.
Sunset. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's the one where all the things in Central Europe are connected to China.
yeah.
They have ways to get there.
Wow. And Tibet too, right? Because Tibet is in China now.
Yeah.
So yeah, which is interesting because I wonder if Dr. Gale's still here. The Lyrans have a lot to do with those tunnels too. Linda says we are topsiders. Amen to that, girl.
Yeah, I'm not going underground either.
Yeah, yeah. Aw. In Turkey, Linda says, yeah, so Turkey, the mosques there and the temples, especially the ones like where Rumi was, and he would twirl around the pillars in the temple.
Mm-hmm.
And the resonance from those, like you can stand at one end and that energy, the sound vibrations or frequencies will go all the way over the other one. But they can't understand yet how they made these like this, and it's amazing.
Have you ever been in a stone circle in England?
No, not in England.
You can whisper on one end and they can hear it on the other.
Wow.
All those stones are aligned in a way that's why they said they were such great meeting places, because everybody could hear everything. There's no shouting or yelling or.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Oh. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. The invisible threads. There are those invisible threads.
Mm-hmm.
And part of them, it feels like it's kind of like grandmother spider or grandmother earth, connecting
Mm-hmm.
threads inside the earth. So, and to the light grid. Anyway. Yeah. So anything else going on, Nancy Jean?
No, my show tomorrow at 1.
Okay.
And I'll have a notice out on that.
Okay. I've got a show today at 1 with Annie Bear, 7 Feather.
Good.
So yeah, that's going to be fun. And what else is going on? And then tomorrow is the Dream Show.
Yeah.
So,
Friday is my special show with Sheila. We're going to build a grid.
I want to watch that. It's on Friday.
It's on Friday at 7 our time.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sheila and I went over and over what were fine times that are working. And she thought the Friday night of a holiday weekend, people would be a little more relaxed and not having to rush and do everything, because they'll have Memorial Day at the end of the weekend to
have a picnic. Yeah.
And it's all getting better. 7 p.m., Rosie. If you want to see me at 7 a.m., you're going to see a drooly old lady with. The other thing is that, Jeffrey and I do weekly readings, which we'll also get if you're on my channel. I read from the garden. He reads tarot. And the 3 months that I closed down, I know how to put a video up, but I couldn't get the videos up. I mean, nothing worked. And so I said, screw it. These are not supposed to go. Well, we've done May, June, and July. And from right now, right about now, the new moon is today too. For those of you who follow lunar cycles, from now moving forward, when we're reading for the collective in that, go watch those shows. They're incredibly empowering. I mean, it's so much fun when we get good readings like that. Y'all think, well, you all know this all the time. No, we don't. We're like, yes, this is good. So it's going to just continue to. We couldn't figure out what was going to happen this week, the announcement that was really going to change everything. And I think it's Biden's health announcement.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. So sad. So I think Deanne's talking about the waters and the energy in the waters. And amen to that, Deanne. Yeah, the water is huge. So, all right, everybody. Well, y'all have a great week. And please check out Nancy tomorrow and me in 1 hour.
1 hour.
1 hour. 1 hour. Okay. Namaste, everybody.